Of course, just after around 9:30 this morning, the North Gauteng High Court postponing the sentencing procedures for the Oscar Pistorius case. Our reporter Karen Morn is at the North Gauteng High Court for us this morning. Good morning to you, Karen. Firstly, that brief appearance in court, but several changes made to the bail to the bail conditions that were given to Oscar Pistorius. Take us through those.
Well, essentially what Oscar Pistorius' lawyer asked and was granted was that he did not have to seek the permission of correctional services in order to be able to leave, go outside the 20-kilometer radius of his current house arrest, Kathy. He just needs or to travel. So essentially all he needs to do if he wishes to go outside of that district or travel is seek the permission of investigating officer Mike van Aert. And we understand also through his lawyer, advocate Samantha Jackson, that there have been ongoing issues with the tracking device that he is wearing around his wrist as part of his house arrest, pending his sentencing. The advocate putting it on record that this device, which is part of a pilot project by correctional services, typically used, Kathy, for prisoners who have served life sentences and then been released, has malfunctioned 3 times and he's had to use 3 different devices because of numerous malfunctions with that device. He, of course, we understand taking lots of photos showing that in instances where he's been recorded as violating the area going outside the area or violating his curfew have actually not occurred. So that was an interesting aspect that came out in court today. However, very, very, as you said before, a very short appearance by Oscar Pistorius.
Karen, there was also a lot of talk around his health and the fact that he was in a hospital at the weekend. Did that come up in court at all?
No, it didn't. We know Correctional Services has in fact confirmed that he was in hospital over the weekend. My understanding is that he was admitted into hospital on Saturday night because of concerns around his heart and then released, we understand it, on Sunday, but no real detail of that coming through from Correctional Services at this point, and certainly his lawyers not being drawn on the issue.
And of course, the final thing here being that sentencing will now be in June.
Yes, and interestingly enough, Kathy, 5 days set down, which certainly gives us an indication that the state is hoping to call several witnesses. Remember, they have the option of calling potentially Reeva Steenkamp's parents who, during the last the initial trial where he was found guilty of culpable homicide, didn't want to testify because it was too much of an emotional issue. Their lawyer at this stage still saying they're considering their options whether or not they will testify. Remember, under the law, the Minimum Sentences Act, he faces a potential 15-year term in jail. But his lawyers will very likely argue that the fact that he already served jail time and is a first offender as well as being a disabled person should count in his favor during those proceedings. We do not know at this stage, Kathy, if any one of his family members or, the experts that previously testified for him will take the stand in mitigation of sentence.
All right, Karen Morn, that's where we leave it for this morning. She's at the North Gauteng High Court.